everybody. This is the Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel meeting number 103, and my name is Jim Colt as presiding member. Part A of our agenda, item 1 is the opening of the meeting. I'll declare the meeting open at 7 a.m. So I acknowledge that we are hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Wadjak people of the Noongar Nation. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and communities. This meeting will be run at step 2024. Regulations 2011. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the MODAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A, Development Assessment Panel 2011, and members
Excuse me, Mr. Presiding Member, the sound is not of good quality.
Yes, I was just going to echo that. The sound is very poor. It's very difficult to hear you.
Okay, well, we'll try and do better. Is that better? I'm speaking louder.
That helps.
Is that better?
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on the agenda, panel members may refer to technical advice devices during the meeting to assist them in considering the information before them. We've got a long meeting today with 3 councils participating. Members present for the first item, myself, presiding member, Dale Page to my right as deputy presiding member, John Syme to my left as specialist member. We've got Councillor Lorna Buchan and Councillor Mark Jones from the City of Rockingham. Also today from City of Gosnells, we've got Councillor David Good and Councillor Karen Baines, and from the City of Mandurah, Mayor Caroline Knight and Councillor Peter Rogers. Item 2 on part A of the agenda, apologies, I've had none. Item 3, members on leave of absence, I have none noted. And item 4 is noting the minutes of previous meetings, and they're available on the DAP website. Part B of the agenda, which is the City of Rockingham. I've already introduced members of the panel. So on item 1, declaration of due consideration, will all panel members confirm they've duly considered all the documents contained within part B of the agenda and part B related information by raising your right hand, please, or left hand. Thank you very much. That's all done unanimously. Item 2, disclosures of interests. I've had none listed. Councillors from the City of Rockingham, was this item considered at council at all?
No, it wasn't, presiding member.
Okay, thank you. Item 3, DAP applications. Form 1s, there are none. Well, there is item 4 is the Form 2 DAP application before us for Lot 2, 622 Aria Boulevard, Golden Bay, and in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2024, Clause 482, we have presentation and speakers are limited to 3 minutes. And I have listed Isabella Howe and Mr. Mark Ree from Planning Solutions to make a presentation. I think it's Mr. Ree, is it, that's going to make the presentation?
It'll be Miss Howe.
Yes.
Miss Howe, sorry, Isabella. Okay, if you could make your presentation, please. We have had it before us, so speak to it. Thank you.
Thank you, presiding member, and good morning to you and the panel members. I am Isabel Howe from Planning Solutions, and the applicant speaking in support of the proposed amendment today. I've got my colleague Mark Ree, as well as Matt Moyle from Lloyd George Acoustics, joining us online to answer questions on the proposal. We are supportive of the Office of Recommendation, and associated conditions provided in the RAR. The application proposes to amend a minor portion of the Golden Bay Neighbourhood Centre, which was approved by the DAP on the 12th of March 2024, and replace the approved liquor store element on the northernmost portion of the site with an automated car wash. As is provided in the officer's report, the approved development on the site also included 2 fast food units, a supermarket, specialty tenancies, and a service station. Stage 1 of the development, which consists of the service station and one of the fast food outlets, has already commenced development on site. Further amendment works are also progressing for the proposed supermarket tenancies, specialty stores, and car parking areas in accordance with the intended Stage 2 development for the site. In considering the scale of the Golden Bay Neighbourhood Centre, this amendment is minor. An amendment proposes to change only 1 of the 5 approved land uses, has been designed to be materially consistent with the approved liquor store layout, and which also included a drive-through. Regarding the change of use, the land use permissibility for the development has not changed, with liquor store and motor vehicle wash both considered D, permissible with discretion for the Golden Bay Neighbourhood Centre area. When considering amenity, and in comparison to the approved liquor store development, the proposed car wash development has retained the circular drive-through format, reduced the overall wall and building height by approximately 1.4 metres, and reduced the boundary wall length by approximately 7 metres. Further, the design has incorporated acoustic car wash doors and acoustic wall treatments to ensure the compliance with the environmental noise regulations. This will ensure that there are no amenity impacts when compared to the approved liquor store. The proposed car wash has been thoughtfully designed to protect local amenity, will provide additional service to the Golden Bay residents and wider community. For these reasons, we request the panel approve the proposed amendment in accordance with the officer recommendation. We'd be pleased to respond to any questions the panel has regarding the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Panel members, are there any questions of the presenters? Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to the presenters. It was really just a couple of questions about the operation. So firstly, due to the noise issues, I was just wondering around the vacuum systems, how they will be restricted to those times. And I note they're slightly different to the actual motor vehicle wash times as well. Like, does the power get controlled automatically or something? Or can you explain that?
So I'm not sure if, I know that Matt Wales is online but hasn't been updated to a panelist at this stage, but just jumping in while he's not able to speak, I know that with the sort of vacuum unit, it will be centrally controlled. It's going to be a central unit. That's why it's sort of placed in the middle of the site. It's got its own sort of fencing around it to give that mitigation effect. And the hours are going to be per the condition of approval that's been provided. So it'll be 9 a.m. to 7 a.m. on Sundays, and then that 7 to 8 on Monday to Saturday, per the condition of approval that's provided.
So can you just explain a bit more about how that is restricted? Because it's open, I gather. People can drive in and, I guess use a payment system, but is the payment system and to turn on the vacuum controlled somehow remotely or?
Yeah, there'll be an internal system to make sure it's really open and sort of available for people coming in to actually activate it during those operating hours.
Sure. And just presiding, second question is just regarding the layout. I mean, I haven't seen one like this with a centralised vacuum system. Is there any others around in Perth that works that way? It just seemed you've only got the one automated car cleaning, but you've got a lot of vacuum bays, and just how they're positioned. Like, do people come in and vacuum first and then get their car cleaned, or the other way around? What's the sort of the model they're looking at?
We'd expect it is a bit of a different layout. Typically, you'd see like an orientation, like a service station with retail fuel houses, and they'd kind of drive straight through to the vacuum bays. One of the key design considerations for this site is the access arrangement. It has to come internally. So we've tried to follow through with the drive-through arrangement that allows more queuing capacity. So most of the time, you'd expect people to come through the car wash and then drive through to the vacuum bays at the end.
Okay, thank you. All right, but otherwise looks okay to me, but thank you, presiding member.
Thank you. Any other questions of the presenters panel? If not, thank you for your presentation. We'll now go to council officers, and firstly, Casey Gillespie and David Banovich. Do you have any comment to make on the presentation or any comments from there before we ask questions?
Thank you, presiding member. No comments to make. Thank you.
Okay, any questions of the council staff, panel members? If not, oh, sorry, yes, panel member.
That's okay. It's just, thank you. It's just to clarify, I'm trying to get my head around why you need new condition 1 when you already have acoustic recommendations that your report states that you accept, and you've asked to be implemented via condition 2, and you've asked for certification of compliance with the regs via condition 3. So I understand that you've accepted the recommendations, and I understand condition 2 and I understand condition 3. I'm confused about why, given those 2 conditions, that you need condition 1.
Good question. It's based on proposed, not what's confirmed in terms of mechanical planting. So usually that will be provided as part of a building permit stage. I'm not sure whether conditions 2 and 3 would cover mechanical planting if condition 1 was removed.
Right. So you've got an acoustic report that dated 27th of June, and out of that report, there's a bunch of recommendations that you're going to enforce through condition 2. Then you're going to, through condition 3, once the prior to occupation, you're actually going to test everything to make sure that there's compliance. So condition 2 and 3 cover what's been done and cover what, certification of that. So I'm wondering why you need a further acoustic report prior to a building permit.
Perhaps I can make mention. I've seen this condition before. David, is it because the actual air conditioning plant isn't known as yet, and when they decide which plant and noise levels, etc., that emanates, you want to see that as well?
That's absolutely correct. And also condition 2 and condition 3, they don't actually talk to the need for the mechanical plants to the extent that we can confirm compliance. So yeah, it's really just to confirm whether the mechanical plants can comply.
Right. Okay. So can I just check, are you asking for the further report, or you are asking them to update the Lloyd George report to deal with the mechanical stuff as well, or doesn't that matter?
It doesn't really matter as long as it's done.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the council officers? If not, thank you for your response. We can now move on as a panel to consider the application before us. In order to do so, I will require a mover for the recommendation in the RA and a seconder. Can I have a mover, please?
I'm happy to move.
Councillor Buchan, and seconder, Councillor Jones. Thank you very much. Councillor Buchan, you speak to the item, please.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the item. A proposed car wash is a better option for the community on the whole, from the feedback I've been receiving here in the city of Rockingham. The 2 objections to the noise effects and traffic congestion I feel have been dealt with through obviously the screening wall and the specifications for the vacuums and the operating hours as well. So on the whole, I think it's a better proposition than bottle shops, so I'm happy to move the motion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jones, a seconder.
Yeah, support the application as well. Yeah, it's in the neighbourhood centre, so the use, as long as those mitigating factors regarding noise, which are conditioned appropriately. So I acknowledge the 2 submissions and objections, but yeah, feel like that as long as it complies with the noise regulations, it's acceptable. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Other panel members wish to speak? Mr. Syme?
Just to agree that this is a logical
land use in the neighbourhood centre, and the main issues of traffic and noise have been satisfactorily dealt with by design and by conditions. So I think it's easy to approve.
Thank you. Member Page.
Yeah, very briefly, thank you. So I'm satisfied that the proposal is appropriate for consideration as a Form 2 application. Although the land use is changing and there's some changes to configuration and design of the building, in my view, they don't have significant impact on the functionality and the amenity of the site. And as per Councillor Buchan's comments, the new land use is probably a preferable one for the community. So therefore, the changes that are being proposed are potentially actually reduce impacts on the surrounding area. The amendment proposes a use that will benefit the community, and the concerns raised through the 2 submissions that were received and noted, but they've been well addressed in the RA and by new conditions of approval. Traffic will not be an issue. It's my view, having dealt with a few of these previously, that fewer people will actually access the site at any one time than for the liquor store, and the queue analysis provided demonstrates that queuing will not be an issue. Noise impacts will also be addressed by a boundary wall design and other recommendations contained in the environmental noise assessment and the updated assessment that is to follow, and through the certification by condition 3, and those have all been included as conditions for approval. So happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I won't go into any further other than to say that I support the proposal, and it's good to see that concerns raised by submitters on the application have been addressed. So that being the case, I'll ask Councillor Buchan to close debate on the item, please.
Thank you. I have nothing further to add.
Okay, I'll put the item as recommended then. All those in favour? That's all in favour, so that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 5 on the agenda is for SAP reconsiderations. There are none. And I thank Councillor Buchan and Councillor Jones for your attendance at that meeting, and also council staff for their answering our queries, and the presenters. So thank you very much. That closes part B of the agenda, and we look forward to seeing panel members later.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, that's it. Okay, part C of the agenda, City of Gosnells. Can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, we're moving on to part C of our agenda, and welcome Councillor Baynes and Councillor Good from the City of Gosnells. Item 2, I will ask members to declare that they have duly considered all documentation contained within Part C of the agenda and Part C related information by showing your hands, please. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Item 2, disclosures of interest. Any members have any interest in this item to disclose?
No.
If not, councillors, was this item considered at a council meeting?
No, it has not.
No, thank you. All right, item 3, Form 1 DAP applications, there are none. And item 4 is this Form 2 DAP application for various lots. Albany Highway, Maddington, the Bunnings showroom. We do have a couple of presenters here, and in accordance with our DAP standing orders, I'll remind the presenters that presentations are limited to 3 minutes. So just concentrate on the aspects rather than running through it all. First presenter is Mr. George Hadji Gabriel. Is he available, please? Oh, there we are at the Row Group boardroom. Thank you. George, would you like to present your submission.
Thank you. I think we have a PowerPoint as well, which I hope is.
Our technical.
George, have you got it there to share? Or would you like us to share on our end?
If you could share it, that would be great. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you. You can just go to the next slide. Thank you. Thank you very much, members. I act on behalf of River Bay Holdings, being the owner of the vacant lot adjoining the northern boundary of the Bunnings site. River Bay Holdings is represented by James Galuccio, Stan Horseman and Lydia Perezic, who are with me here today. Immediately north of my client's land is an existing commercial development. My client's land, together with all of the land further to the north, is identified in a future development zone. Due to the environmental constraints to the west and the rail to the north, all of the future development zone will need to take access from Albany Highway, which is a primary regional road, hence necessitating careful consideration with shared and rationalised access arrangements. The creation of a new traffic light controlled intersection at Albany Highway and Pitchford Avenue, as is proposed, will impact the ability for my client to maintain safe and direct vehicular access to Albany Highway. My client's site has two existing crossovers to Albany Highway, one of which is 16 metres from the future intersection and the other being 34 metres from the intersection. These crossovers will be compromised once the traffic signals are in place. A four-way traffic light controlled intersection would normally have four public roads leading to it. However, the proposal seeks to create a private access way on the western leg of the intersection. A legal mechanism is therefore required over the private access way to ensure that the public has safe vehicular access to our client's land as part of a broader access network. We'll go to the next slide, please. The main roads advice, which is contained in attachment 7 of the RAR, has at item 6 a request that an easement is placed over the accessway to allow public access to the signalised intersection. This is clearly intended to ensure that vehicular access is available from my client's site to the traffic light controlled intersection, foreshadowing a future restriction of direct access from Albany Highway to my client's land. Proposed condition 37 in the RAR seeks to accommodate the main roads request, but it's not entirely clear that the vehicular access easement is to extend to and provide access to and from my client's land to the intersection. I'll go next slide, please. Thank you. We request some minor adjustments to condition 37, particularly so that there is reference to lot 19, ensuring that there can be no doubt as to the intended purpose of the easement, which of course is to allow for vehicular access. Next slide, please. Thank you. The need for the easement is generated because the Bunnings proposal seeks to create a traffic light controlled intersection right on the edge of my client's land, but does not propose a public road leading to the intersection. Under the current status quo, without the proposed intersection, my client could continue to enjoy the benefit of direct access to Albany Highway. A coordinated and rationalised vehicular access arrangement represents a sensible and safe outcome for the area that is consistent with planning policy. The requested rewording of condition 37 will provide greater certainty with respect to the future planning for the development zone to the north, noting that we anticipate a similar access easement arrangement will be required through my client's land to the commercial development to the north. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadji Gabriel. It's probably a separate. Well, I'll ask presenters for the applicants, Mark Scafoni, to make a presentation. We can work them both in. I could see some issues overlapping. So, Mark, are you there to make your presentation?
He is there. Just
Not
waiting
there.
for him to unmute.
Okay. Perhaps I'll entertain questions of.
Sorry, could you hear me okay?
Okay.
Sorry, presiding member. Just not sure if you can hear me.
We can hear you. We can't see you. So I'll entertain questions from Mr. Hadji Gabriel first. Councillors, have you had any questions of the presenter regarding this request at this stage?
Not at this stage.
Okay, the panel members, you have? Yes, go ahead.
Yes, please. George, just a quick one. You may have seen the minor amendment that was requested to condition 37 by the applicant, who will do their presentation in a minute. Do you agree with the inclusion of that extra word in the condition?
No, because thank you for the question, but I see that change would restrict the access to only pedestrian access, and I don't see the point of that, quite frankly. It's clear that main roads are referring to vehicular access being required. I think pedestrian access is going to happen anyway. It's vehicular access that could potentially be restricted, and that's the important aspect to the easement, is to allow for that vehicular access. Obviously, we're talking about Albany Highway, which is a high traffic volume and speed environment, and there is the intent to get vehicles off Albany Highway in a safe manner and a coordinated manner, so it has to be about vehicular access. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've just got a question. Are you looking at the easement extending to the rear of lot 19?
Yes, we are. I think that given the need to have some separation distance, it's probably the only logical spot where the access would come in is towards the rear of lot 19.
Okay. Mr. Syme, do you have any questions at this stage?
No, I can see that proposed access in your PowerPoint there.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks, George. We'll listen to Mark now, and we'll come back to you as we have questions with council staff as well.
Thank you.
Mark, thank you. Mark, would you make your presentation?
Thank you, presiding member. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to make a deputation today. We've worked closely with the officers at the City of Gosnells and the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage to deal with the key issues which have been raised in the assessment of this proposed minor amendment to the approved Bunnings warehouse on the subject site, and to ensure that there's alignment between both approvals. As outlined in my written response, we request modification to several conditions to ensure these reflect the intended development outcome and provide certainty for all parties. In relation to access easements, we've requested modification to item 4.1A and 4.1B, which is conditions 37 and 26 respectively, to clarify that the easement should be for pedestrian access rights only. This amendment reflects the intent of the JDAP as part of the November 2020 decision, where it stated condition 26 was added to formalise the principal shared path connection required under condition 25. In this respect, note the deputation from Row Group, and we do consider it's inappropriate for the JDAP to deal with this matter in this forum. This is a commercial matter for adjoining landowners, which can be worked through in the future. As also outlined in our deputation, we do not support the proposed amendment to condition 7. The potential to provide a connection to the Canning River foreshore aligned with Gosnells Road West was explored as a part of the original DAP decision in 2020. At this time, it was noted that due to topography of the site, the retaining walls and vehicle access restrictions, there was insufficient space to provide a connection at that point. An alternative access point at the Pitchford Road intersection was identified and agreed, and was formalised as part of the November 2020 approval via conditions 25 and 26. The proposed PSP will form part of a broader network to be facilitated by the City and the WAPC to improve access through the locality. The PSP has been designed to provide a connection to the south which will ultimately link to the City of Gosnells administration building and beyond. There is no intent to return the PSP along the proposed limestone track to the south of the subject site and back towards Albany Highway. We request that the proposed amendments to Condition 7 are deleted and the original Condition 7 is reinstated. Thank you for your time. Jason Eden from Bunnings is on the line, and myself, we're both happy to answer any questions from the panel.
Thank you. Panel members, any questions, please? Councillors Good or Baines?
Not at this stage, Mr. Presiding Member. I'd like to hear from council staff due though.
Okay, Mr. Simon, any questions?
Just to clarify your reaction to the request from Mr. Hadjigarian. They're asking, as I understand it, an easement as to some section of that easement. What's your problem with that? Why do you think that's not appropriate?
At the moment, the site, as far as lot 19.
This is the Chief Warden. Thank you for your participation in the evacuation exercise.
Sorry, is it okay for me to go on?
Sorry about that. We just had some audio through the fire alarm system with the fire drill that they're having here. Okay, Mark, sorry about that.
Seems there's a lot of excitement going on at 140 William today.
That's all right. Always. It's the place to be.
Absolutely. I think ultimately we think that vehicle access should be dealt with in a coordinated manner. There's no structure on lot 19 as far as we're aware or any approved development, and that site already has the benefit of existing crossovers to Albany Highway. How that site is accessed into the future and will need to be dealt with, or they'll need to might need to consider an alternative access. But we note that there are options to the north, beyond where the existing commercial site is. And we do feel as though it's a matter for commercial negotiation between the respective landowners. We don't think that there's currently a planning basis to warrant an easement over that lot, as there's no structure plan or any other broad comprehensive planning over the sites that would require that to be done at this point in time.
Thank you. Any other panel members wish to hear Mr. Scarfone?
Yes, please. I just have a couple of questions. So, Mr. Scarfone, do you have any issues with submitting a lighting plan as required by new condition 13?
That's not a concern.
Okay, thank you. And what are your thoughts on the imposition of new condition 45 aside from the amendments you've suggested? Are you happy to accept that condition?
Condition 45 is sorry to go on one memory. 45 is the sewer condition.
That's correct.
Yes, broadly we accept that condition.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any questions at this time, so I'll reserve the right to speak to you later, Mr. Scarfone, if need be. All right. Can I now ask the council staff to come into play? And Mr. Scambler, do you wish to make comment on any of the presentations that have come to date or the matters raised? Any formal questions of you?
I think I can see both sides of the argument. However, we sought clarity from Main Roads in a specific question regarding their intent for the public access or the easement condition requiring access into lot 20. And specifically, I should also note they only came back to us on late Tuesday afternoon with this advice, but effectively what they've said is in their consideration of allowing or requiring that signalised intersection at Pitchford would be the intent behind that would be that would ultimately provide for long-term access for the land that's zoned development further to the northwest. Through the Albany Highway access strategy and arrangements, obviously Main Road's position is that direct access to Albany Highway is to be reduced where possible, and obviously through the introduction of this new signalised intersection and Main Road's agreement to allow that to occur in this location would be that the ultimate long-term vision would be that all of those properties, I guess, to the northwest would be able to get access into that intersection also, hence why their condition requiring that easement just specifies access rights. It doesn't specifically list out pedestrian or I guess public at large, but their intent is that long term it would be the public at large. I guess touching on what Mark had said with the fact that there is no structure plan for this area, it is just that. There is no structure plan for this area, so the access arrangements for the area has not yet been formally determined. We've moved straight ahead in this instance to a DA, which in other terms, if we had a structure plan, those access arrangements would have previously been resolved with Main Roads. We'd have identified intersection locations, and then obviously we would have subdivisions that would reflect the requirements of the structure plan. So whilst there is no defined access arrangement through a structure plan, it kind of raises the need to address it at this stage, I guess. And ultimately Main Roads have included that new condition or recommended that new condition as part of this DA. There has been considerable discussion about this development since it was initially approved, and there's been a fair number of design or redesigns and amendments to that initial approval since the initial approval was granted by the DAT. I'm supportive of the condition as it stands. I think that certainly Main Road's intent is that long term that access easement that's required by condition 37 would provide wider access, not just to the Bunnings development, but to redevelopment of the area to the northwest.
Thank you. Yes, I have a follow-up too, but Member Page.
So Mr. Scambler, can I just check, is it because of the changes that have happened subsequently that that this wasn't dealt with as part of the original application? So that's my first question. And the second question is, if this condition isn't imposed and Main Roads proceed as per their future vision, where does that leave? What recourse does the owner of lot 19 have in the future to get access if this condition isn't placed on the agreement?
Main Roads under the Main Roads Act have the ability to control access onto their network. What that means in terms of future access arrangements for lot 19 and then the additional land that's zoned development, at this stage I'm unsure. Obviously the intent from Main Roads in allowing or considering Pitchford to become a signalised intersection was that it would benefit the future development of the adjoining lots. Like I said, usually in a scenario where you have a development zone, you would have a structure plan done prior to receiving DAs. And those structure plans would then determine appropriate access arrangements and would take into consideration main roads requirements as part of that assessment process. In this scenario, I guess it's jumped forward to a DA, and that's capable of being entertained under the regs. However, it kind of places a greater emphasis at this stage via a DA to get that access arrangement resolved.
So why wasn't it dealt with as part of the first DA? Because
So
this
the-
is a Form 2.
Yeah.
So why wasn't it dealt with as part of the Form 1?
Yeah, so originally the city didn't support the first DA, neither did Main Roads. So what happened there was that there was a recommendation of refusal right at the fourth initially, and so a number of conditions were presented and provided as an alternate recommendation. Ultimately, because they were provided late in the piece and the report wasn't initially contemplating approval, that's why this wasn't resolved. And like I said, this has gone through a number of design iterations over the years, over I think the last 6 years. This has kind of been a moving beast, and it all comes down to addressing the access arrangements and requirements of main roads.
Thank you. Can I just ask a follow-up of Mr. Scarfoni on this?
Well, just before you do, is there a plan showing the extent of the easement on lot 20?
No.
Because there's a condition, but it doesn't show anything as to how far into lot 20 the easement has to go. It just sort of shows an intersection arrangement, but no shading over it. Whereas at the Gosnells Road West, there is an indication that it has to go in further to allow for access to lot 5.
Yeah, correct.
So
we did request that of Main Roads, however, they didn't have a plan that they could provide us.
So there's a question of an easement, but nobody knows how far it extends into lot 20.
Correct.
Did the owners of lot 19 make a submission on the previous approval?
I'm not sure.
Mr. Hadji Gabriel, did they at all?
No, we didn't, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, Member Page.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Mr. Scarfoni, on behalf of you and your client, and your client is with us as well, what is the actual issue for you with the easement? Why wouldn't it benefit your development ultimately to have connectivity to adjoining sites? Why are you resisting the condition as it's currently worded? What's the actual reason?
From my perspective, sorry, go on, Jason.
No, you go through, Mark. Apologies.
I thought just in terms of the initial reaction was that the DAP was quite clear in its decision making in November 2020 that the reason that it required an easement over lot 20 was to provide this pedestrian connection, or the PSP connection, from Albany Highway through to the proposed PSP that was running parallel with the Bunnings at the rear of the site. So there was no intent flagged by the DAP at that particular point in time in relation to that easement. And so being that this is a minor amendment to an existing approval, it didn't seem appropriate for the access arrangements to be modified, and it therefore seemed much more appropriate for this condition to be clarified in order to reflect the initial decision of the JDAP.
Thank you for that. You've explained for me further about why you have come to the position you have, but I'm still keen to explore what will, if we put that aside for the minute, the fact that you think the DAP had a different view and this is a Form 2 and we're introducing something new on a Form 2, put that aside for the minute. What actual impact would it have on you and your client if this easement, if this condition was imposed? What would the actual impact be?
Jason, did you want to take that one?
Yes, sure. Thank you, and good
Sorry,
morning
just,
all.
just quickly, yes, because just adding on to that, there's quite a bit of land outside of your driveway into the site that seems to be unused, as it were. It's got the pedestrian path leading through the back, I think that's on the plan, but it doesn't show any landscaping or any other use on that area. Sorry, Jason, please go ahead now.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, no, except that it doesn't show landscaping at the moment, but the easement discussion with the pedestrian and the PSP connection was well discussed, as Mark said at the previous meeting, right? I guess this design, which has been now endorsed by Main Roads through detailed design, right, accommodates that current signalised intersection. If there's further development to the north, that intersection would have to be vastly amended, and we aren't opposed to that, right? But we just don't know the extent of what that might be. So while there's other access points, we don't see why it's required at this time. We are happy to consider that in the future. Our advice at the moment is that a condition like that would as proposed, would be invalid.
Okay.
I'm keen to push that a bit.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand what the impact would be on your development, Mr. Eden. What you're saying that if there was further development that needed to occur to the north in the future, it would impact that intersection. I would suggest that that would then be on them to deal with any changes that need to be made, not on you. So I'm trying to understand at the moment why you would, other than it potentially being invalid because it doesn't have a nexus to a Form 2, I'm trying to understand what would the actual impact on Bunnings be of having that easement.
Well, just by the design of the current alignment, you can see it's at a bit of an angle, right? There'd be a lot of significant design to make it safe and what have you, right? You're 100% right. It's Main Road's intersection, if you like, but the internal road, how would that work? And have to be safe and well designed, just properly considered. Like I said, we're not thoroughly opposing it. We just need to see more detail of it, I'd suggest.
Thank you. Any further questions of the presenters or council staff, for that matter?
Yes, I've got a question, Mr. Presiding Member.
Councillor Good, please.
Not actually related to this particular topic of discussion itself, but I've got just want to confirm on page 25 of 151 of the agenda, I'm actually talking about Transperth and bus access, the bus stops actually. Just want to seek clarification. Will there be a bus bay where a bus will pull up to stop out in front of Bunnings, or will the bus actually block and stay still on Albany Highway? I'm not sure where the Main Roads have I just couldn't find it in the agenda about where the bus is relocated and stopping.
Scambler, perhaps you might be able to answer that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the PTA advice.
And by the way, Mr. Scambler, on page 25 of 151, where it's got the picture of it, they've even got the existing bus stop to be relocated. The word existing is actually spelt incorrectly, but I'm assuming you've probably seen that. It's got on the photographs.
Yeah.
Page 25.
Sorry, David, are you looking at the plans or?
This is just below all the commentary. You've got attachment 1 and the very next page after attachment 1.
Yeah.
Attachment 2 is actually what's called. Attachment 2. Sorry.
My understanding is the PTA are requesting some of the existing bus stops to be consolidated and moved. Where they ultimately end up will be at the decision of the PTA in conjunction with discussions with the applicant, is my understanding.
So on that photograph, existing bus stops to be consolidated into one bus stop by the arrow. It's literally right out the front, but I'm assuming, well, is there likely to be a bus bay? Because I just know that buses hold up traffic and it's Albany Highway. It's busy. Intersections.
I don't actually think there's an existing bus bay on Albany Highway for the existing bus stop, so I'm not sure what arrangements the PTA are contemplating, whether or not an embayment would be required. I guess that would be at the PTA's discretion and advice as part of that approval process for the relocation of the bus stops.
Thank you, Mr. Scambler. I figured they'd be under their jurisdiction, but I just thought at least I hope they were aware of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions of the presenters and staff? Yes, Member Page.
Mr. Scambler, just coming back to this issue of this easement. Are we in a position of sort of trying to figure this out in the meeting because this came to light quite late in the piece? Or has this sort of been debated between the owners throughout the consideration of the Form 2?
This advice came through from Main Roads and was a recommended condition of Main Roads.
And when did that come through?
So that was provided to the city in August, the 1st of August. They provided that information through to us, and we didn't have any further discussions with the applicant on the Main Roads requirements. Given the extent of liaison between the applicant and Main Roads to confirm, I guess the access arrangements for this application on the whole, we weren't aware that this hadn't been raised between Main Roads and the applicant previously. We kind of assumed that it had been, and we hadn't been involved in the majority of those discussions between the applicant and Main Roads on the access arrangements for this application.
Can I ask a question, and this might sort of send various parties into a bit of a scurry, but would all parties benefit from a deferral of this application for a short period for you to resolve this issue? I'm sure Bunnings want to get on with this, but if you're not keen to have the easement, this might be the opportunity to resolve this issue. Would there be benefit in a deferral for a short period to resolve this particular issue?
Look, I'm not opposed to it, but it's not my application to defer, so I'd have to seek advice from the applicant.
Could I ask the applicant their opinion on that?
Mr. Eden.
Yes, thank you, Presiding Member. No, I think we'd be seeking a determination today, please.
I have a couple of other questions for the local government, if that's okay.
Just getting back to the easements and the extent of it, I see Main Roads have asked for an easement to be placed on lot 20, specifying access rights. But there's no plan, is there, Mr. Scambler? There's nothing that says where it's to go, and other than to say that there's got to be an easement, and we are faced with a condition which I'm just trying to confirm, which is proposed condition 37, which simply measures or mirrors the requirement of Main Roads. But I mean, this is a condition on the applicant, and it's uncertain. There's no certainty in where this particular easement is to go, and specifying access rights to whom.
The conditions.
Follow-up question on that. On question 30, condition 37, that's to be for the benefit of the City of Gosnells and Main Roads, and Mr. Hadji-Gabriel wants that to also include to the benefit of lot 19. The question is, would any of those be able to be interpreted on the condition into a plan? into a dimension.
Well, somebody's going to have to determine that, if I may. Somebody's going to have to determine the extent of the easement. You certainly wouldn't put it over the whole of the area of lot 20, would you, Mr. Scambler?
No, you would not.
You would just put it on that portion of the access leg that conveys the public at large access through into the site at Pitchford Avenue.
Correct. We did seek clarification from Main Roads on that. However, they were unable to produce a plan because it was one of the questions that we had. We see the merit in the condition, and we think the condition is appropriate and largely required. Obviously for the purpose that there is no structure plan specifying access throughout that area, and knowing Main Roads requirements for restricted access on that section of Albany Highway, but Main Roads weren't able to produce a plan to go along with that condition.
If that condition were including to the benefit of lot 19, would that give a clear indication to you as to the extent to which an easement might be applied?
Yeah, I think it would, but obviously that it would require a significant amount of discussion with the applicant to determine exactly what that easement requirement is. And then obviously Main Roads need to provide input as well.
If normally when it says for the benefit of the City of Gosnells and Main Roads, the City of Gosnells easement talks about the City of Gosnells and the public at large, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, usually if it is to the benefit of the city, it's inherent that it is the public at large.
So at this stage, the city could say, well, this condition stands. You don't have to mention lot 19, but you could, when the time comes to negotiate the extent of that condition, you can prescribe that it also includes lot 19 or gives some access to lot 19. I'm not saying what should be done. I'm saying it could be done that way.
Correct.
And then the applicants would have to argue with you the extent of it and have perhaps an appeal right or not.
Possibly.
Okay. All right. That's right. Well, okay. I'll leave that one for our discussion. Yes, member Pages, some more.
Yeah, Mr. Scambler, looking at conditions 36, to me it seems to duplicate the intent of the preceding condition, and it also references 34 and 33 and 34, and that doesn't seem to be accurate. Is that condition necessary, or could you walk me through that, please?
Sorry, you referenced condition 36 and the reference to conditions 34 and 35?
33 and 34. If you look at your attachment on page 99, where you've showed the amendments, you've tracked the amendments.
Yeah, sorry, I think, apologies. In the actual conditions itself listed in the resolution, it references the correct conditions, or I think there was a typo in the attachment.
Okay, so is conditions 36 necessary given the preceding conditions? I'm uncertain as to why that's actually necessary, because it does talk about seeding it without payment, and then it talks about it again.
I think 35 was subsequently modified. It should have said prior to a building permit, the land to be seeded, and that would be via an application to seed, so a subdivision application. And then the intent under condition 36 would be that prior to occupancy, that seeding actually be finalised, i.e. a certificate of title lodged
35 and 36 look very similar to me. So they talk about prior to occupation. They talk about ceding it free to the state. So I'm just trying to understand why 36 is necessary.
Uh, 36, 35, as I've just mentioned, probably looks like it has accidentally been modified to say prior to occupation, and it should be prior to a building permit.
Right. So.
And then so 36 then follows on that prior to then occupancy of the development, all of those things need to be done.
Okay, so we should look at amending condition 35.
To say prior to a issue of a building permit.
Reference prior to a building permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apologies on that.
But then, sorry, if that was the case, that would be inconsistent with 36.
Because typically, so the seeding would be a subdivision application to seed that. If that subdivision application is not progressed through, i.e. certificates of title aren't lodged, that application and that approval for the subdivision has no force and effect. So 36 would be then prior to occupation, the CTs obviously need to be lodged and clearance needs to be issued and titles need to be created.
Yes, but both conditions are saying that they need to be seeded.
That's right.
So you're basically saying the land needs to be seeded prior to a building permit, and then you're saying the land needs to be seeded prior to occupation. So that's why I'm questioning the need for 36. If you feel that, and I would suggest that potentially prior to occupation is more reasonable to seed land than prior to a building permit. So I'm questioning then why 36.
Yeah, look, if you feel it's not required, happy for that to be deleted. But
I don't want to delete a condition that is required. So that's why I'm asking your view on whether or not it's duplicating the intent of 35.
Well, I don't think it's duplicating the intent of 35. I think the intent of 35 is that the seeding arrangements be made, i.e. a subdivision application to seed that land is undertaken, i.e. lodged with the Planning Commission, not necessarily determined and cleared. As I said, it should have referenced prior to a building permit as in lieu of prior to occupation. The intent then prior to occupation is that that land would be seeded that reflects the 15% design concepts required by 34 and also the land seeding requirement under 35 and the land protection plan that Main Roads have prepared.
So rewording would have to be prior to lodgement of building permit of the development of land required for the widening of Albany Highway as shown on the plan the seeding arrangements need to be made.
Correct.
Yes, without the bit on seeding, because you can't do that at that time.
Seeding arrangements
Need to be commenced or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Satisfactory arrangements being made for the seeding of land as shown on that plan for EVCOS.
Yeah, okay. Well, it seems like a rewording of that rather than taking it away. Okay, thank you for that. Any further questions?
Let's just check. Bear with me just a second. Yes, just very quickly, do you have any issues with the applicant's suggested amendments to condition 45? I wanted to add some specificity around what that sewerage arrangement will look like.
My only hesitation around the requested change is that if the design happens to be not a rising main, then what? So the condition as it stands gives the applicant basically any arrangement to connect to that sewer, as long as it's to the Water Corp specs and the city's satisfaction. Our satisfaction is it's connected to sewer. We don't have any issue as to how that connection is made. I think by adding the wording as proposed by the applicant, It does raise some questions that if a rising main connection or type of sewer connection can't be made and needs to be made in an alternate arrangement, ultimately, does that mean that we would need to then further come back for a Form 2 to modify the condition, or an application to amend that condition at a later date? I think there's enough in the condition as it stands to ensure that that connection's made, and then it's up to the applicant as to how that connection is made.
So the alternative is to a rising main is for a gravity sewer, isn't it?
Yeah, or pressure main. There's plenty of different ways that they could.
I'm not sure the definition of rising main, pressure main,
Gravity.
I think it's either a pressure main, either through a water corp pump station on the site, or a private pump station through a pressure main as well. Yep. I think they're the only two, I think.
And I think all the city and certainly WSCA are concerned about is that connection's made. How the connection's made is neither here nor there. As long as Water Corp is satisfied and Water Corp sign off on that connection, we're happy.
Well, it's to the satisfaction of the city, so you'll have to.
Yeah, on specification of the Water Corp. So.
Well, they haven't got anything at the moment, so they've still got to negotiate what the Water Corp will accept. Okay, correct. All right, thank you. Any further questions of the presenters? No. No, okay, thank you. Well, seeing as we're exhausted question time at the moment, we will now, as a panel, move into debate on the item for a determination. In order to do so, can I have
Presiding member.
Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt, Mark here. I know you've dealt with the easement question over a few times. Just wondering if had seen the plan that we provided in the deputation that showed the location of that easement over lot 20.
I did seem to see something, but I'm not quite. Is that the element plan?
That's the one, yes.
Is that? But that's just easement to satisfy condition 26.
Yeah.
Is that the pink plan?
That's the one. Yeah. I wonder if the DAP secretariat can bring it in front of the panel or pop it on the screen. But there was, I think, because there's been two separate approvals under both the City of Gosnells approval and the MRS, there are some conditions which overlap between the two, and trying to get some consistency between both of these, the approvals has been a challenge. And I think Brenton touched on it in his initial comments to say that there was initially a refusal that was proposed for under both the MRS and the City of Gosnells, which has then has resulted in conditions that are probably not as clean as they might have been if they were all sort of set up to be approved in the first place. But this condition that the City of Gosnells is recommending around the easements is very reflective of the condition on the easement that was already introduced under the MRS for condition 25 and 26. And so that easement plan is meant to show that the location of that pedestrian access easement to provide some clarity to the panel about what our understanding is of the easement requirements of that lot. I hope that you don't mind, but I just wanted to take the opportunity just to clarify that.
Mark, that looks to me to be simply a pedestrian access way.
And that's right. And that was what we understood to be the intent of the decision.
All right. Yes, no, I can see that, but it sort of only links the track. It's that red parallel lines, but that only seems to cover the access for pedestrians to the rear of the lot.
Yes, and
the limestone track.
Yes, as we understood, was the intent under the MRS condition 25 and 26 that were introduced in November 2020.
Well, that was getting back to discussion. But Main Roads, they wouldn't have been interested in that, would they? In their proposed condition 6 on their letter.
Yeah, and I think that's it may have been that because these conditions overlap so much. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think they're two separate issues. The easement you've shown on your plan and the easement that Lot 19 is requesting and what Main Roads has asked for.
Yeah, appreciate it. That's
unfortunately, Main Roads wasn't prescriptive enough in the extent of their easements, and that's something that the condition 37 that we've got before us allows for some further refinement with the proponents. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We're here to serve. Can I go to the order of debate now, and that is to get a mover and second it so the panel can debate the application before us. Do I have a mover for the recommendations? Yes, Councillor Good. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Baines. Okay, thank you. Councillor Good, would you like to speak to the item, please?
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member. From my recollection, I think I was on the original DAP over 5 years ago. I've been following it all the way through. For this, I certainly have always been one who wanted to get it approved, subject to particularly the traffic flow and traffic access along that Albany Highway. You've got two awkward sets of lights, both in Gosnells Road West and also Pitchford, but the relocation of Bunnings site there, I've always been a strong supporter of. Interesting today to hear all the discussions about the easements and the access ways and trying to work out whether it's part of the issue or not as part of the development. But overall, I'm still supportive of it. I want it to be done. Enough clauses in there that the incredible wording. So I do appreciate the fabulous questions of yourself and the Deputy Presiding Member Dale Page and John Simon, because just trying to get into the detail of what is appeasable and fair for all parties. But I would still wish to have this approved, and obviously I assume there may be an amendment or two required, but I full support it.
Thank you. Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member. I also agree with Councillor Good. I am supportive of the application, and I thank the members for their questions, and there's been a lot to consider. I hope that through the discussion we can come up with a compromise in relation to the easements and move forward with this development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other panel members wish to speak to the item? Yes, Member Page.
Look, I'm happy to support the amendments proposed by the Form 2, and given the scale of the development, I think they're really relatively minor in nature, and they actually enhance the proposal without increasing any impact. So for me, it's just about resolving issues around new and amended conditions. And with that, I would like to seek to move a few amendments.
Certainly, amendment number 1 to the.
So the first amendment actually relates to condition 12. It's a minor amendment, but it just reorders some wording. Currently, the replacement trees need to be to the satisfaction of DBCA in consultation with the City of Gosnells, and I propose that this should be to the satisfaction of the City of Gosnells in consultation with DBCA. It's just swapping those responsibilities around.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Yes, Mr. Syme seconds. Do you want to?
Yes, look, it's not, in my view, appropriate to make a condition to a satisfaction of a third party, even if it is a government agency. These are conditions that the City of Gosnells will need to clear. So it needs to be to the satisfaction of the city. They'll obviously engage with DBCA on their specifications and so on, but Gosnells will be clearing the conditions, so hence the minor amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Syme, seconded.
Yes, I agree. The City of Gosnells is the approving body here, not the department, and not DBCA.
Okay, other panel members wish to speak to the item? No? I will just say that I concur with the amendment. No further speakers? No? Okay, I'll put amendment number 1. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, presiding member. Then I would like to amend condition 35 to ensure it does not conflict with condition 36 and to ensure it reflects the intent for seeding arrangements at that point rather than the actual seeding of the land. The condition would then read, prior to lodgement of an application for a building permit, the applicant needs to demonstrate that seeding arrangements have been made in relation to the land required for the widening of Albany Highway, as shown on the Land Protection Plan number 201432-0109 enclosed.
Thank you. Seconder, Mr. Syme.
Thank you, presiding member. Look, we've discussed this in a bit of detail and the city has advised the condition should reference the building permit rather than prior to occupation, and that the intent of the condition is that at that point in time they need to have dealt with seeding arrangements. You can't have two different conditions with two different timeframes dealing with the actual seeding. So this is just to amend condition 35 in line with the intent outlined by Mr. Scouter.
Thank you, Mr. Syme. Seconder, Eustace.
Look, nothing more to say. I think we've discussed this pretty clearly.
Thank you. Other panel members wish to speak to the amendment? If not, I'll put the amendments. Okay, all in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, presiding member. And then this one, given the conversation that has happened around condition 37 and the easement, I will seek to move a deletion of condition 37 relating to this easement at this point.
Okay.
I'll outline my reason.
Okay. Do I have a second? For the purpose of debate, I will second it, but reserve the right to speak against it if need be.
Thank
Please.
you. Thank you, presiding member. Look, the reason being is, to me, it seems we've just not actually come to an agreement between what this condition is trying to achieve. The applicant has a different view to the adjoining neighbour they both have a slightly different view to the city. It appears to me this was introduced by Main Roads rather late in the piece. And there is no detail around what the location of the easement is going to be, the extent of it, the impact of it, and so on. So given the inadequate detail about the need, location, nature, and impact of that easement at this point, and in my view, there's also inadequate nexus between this Form 2 application and the imposition of a new condition of this magnitude. This is a significant condition that it impacts adjoining landowners and this landowner. And it's being linked to a Form 2 application, and the purpose of a Form 2 application is to deal with minor amendments, and I just don't think the amendments that have been made give rise to a condition of this magnitude. So that's the reason that I suggest we delete it at this point.
As seconder, I might speak against the item on the basis that, well, firstly, there must be some acknowledgement, well, in fact, there is acknowledgement from the applicants that they have to provide an easement, otherwise they would have objected to it in total, but they didn't object. They wanted an amendment specifying the access of the pedestrian access, and I can't in my mind believe that Main Roads would have been any interested in that. So Main Roads must have some idea of the sort of easement they require, and it would probably be to do with the traffic lights. So I can see the nexus being that the traffic light design and the access in through lot 20 is the nexus for this condition. And I think in terms of the extent of it, the applicants can negotiate the extent of that, and if they are aggrieved by the extent of the easement, either by the City of Gosnells or Main Roads, then they can appeal that. But it shouldn't hold up their development. In my mind, I think it can be undertaken during the course of the negotiations with that. So even though I did it for the purpose of debate, I'm speaking against the deletion of the condition, and I think it should stay as written. Any further discussion from other members? Mr. Syme?
Look, I'm rather inclined towards the submission from the Lot 19 owners. I think that it seems to me to be not dissimilar to the sorts of arrangements you get along major roads where you're trying to link car parks and so on, where easements and access rights are required as part of the planning framework, even though there's not necessarily a fixed plan to go with it. I think that if this was modified to include for the benefit of Lot 19 and the public, then that gives sufficient information to ensure that the future planning for this area can proceed in a way which I think is reasonable. I don't think it needs a plan. I think if there is a clear indication that there will be a four-way intersection at this point, then pretty much everything else flows from that.
Okay, so
if we are then in a position where that four-way intersection can, and this is essentially the submission, as I understand it, it's made by Mr. Hadjigoba, if we have got the ability or from a planning point of view, ensuring that this intersection can work for the benefit of the surrounding landowners, then I think that we reasonably need to make it for their benefit. And I think as a burden on the landowner, I think it's pretty minor because there's a pretty substantial road there anyway. All we're doing is making sure that the adjoining landowner has access to that towards the rear site, which is where it needed.
So essentially, you're speaking against the
current
amendment, and you'll then have to.
And the reason I am not speaking against it, I'm speaking against it, is because I think it can be resolved with the conditions which are applied by suggested by Mr. Hadjigoba.
Okay, so that's another amendment.
That would be a future.
You're foreshadowing another.
Foreshadow that.
Okay, all right. In regard to this current amendment to delete condition 37, other panel members wish to speak. Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member. I will be not supportive of this amendment to delete. It needs to stay in. In my view, the easement gives the access to both the City of Gosnells and Main Roads, and as the specialist member has also indicated, the fact that you've got a four-way access here to this area, the easement is required just in case for future issues that may arise. So I'll be not supportive of this amendment.
Thank you. Councillor Baines? No? Okay. All right, thank you. You have the right of reply.
I would like to reply. No.
Yes.
Thank you. Look, I've heard the views on the amendment. I'm not of the view that an easement isn't necessary. It would ideally, to have an easement in place to protect rights of future landowners and access rights and so on would be ideal. But I am of the view that when we start introducing new requirements and new conditions on a Form 2 application that were not picked up in the Form 1 application, we start to step on thin ice a little bit. If the applicant is prepared to accept extra stuff as part of a Form 2, then that's fine. And that's why I've asked the applicant questions. And picking up on the presiding member's comment, the applicant hasn't objected to inclusion of this condition, albeit he has suggested that we add an extra word in it. But he just made a comment earlier that this is because this this condition in the applicant's view relates to something completely different. In the applicant's view, they didn't object because this is a different issue. The amendment or the condition is in relation to a previous condition imposed. It's to satisfy condition 26 of the MRS approval that deals with pedestrian access. So in my view, that's why the applicant hasn't opposed imposition of the condition, because it's relating to a completely separate issue in their view. So we're conflating the two issues here. And given that the applicant may not, well, verbally has expressed they're not supportive of an broader access easement at this stage, to me that steps outside of the realm of a Form 2 application, and that is the key reason why I'm not supporting that condition at this point, but happy to deal with or be part of any subsequent amendments.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, I'll put the amendment proposed to delete condition 37. All in favour? Against? The proposed amendment is lost 4-1. Any further amendments?
Thank you. Yes, I would like to amend condition. No, I would not. Thank you very much.
That's it?
I'm done. Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, you finished speaking to the substantive? Okay, so as mover, seconder, Mr. Simon used to speak to the item itself.
Look, as an overall modification of an existing approval, this is a reasonably straightforward set of changes. There are, however, some changes to access, albeit at the other end of the site, and there is an existing acknowledgement from Main Roads that some conditions need to be applied to lot 20 and its interaction with Albany Highway, and I think on that we've got sufficient grounds to actually look at that in some sort of detail. I'm of the view that even though there is no plan, I think that if it is to the benefit of lot 19 and the public, as suggested by Mr. Gabriel, then we have sufficient information there to allow an easement plan to be prepared. The clear intention is to enable all that four-way intersection to be used in the future as a proper four-way intersection, and that would require, if development of lot 19 went ahead, there would be considerable pushback against having any access to Albany Highway from that site, and good planning would say that would go into a new easement. So I think there's sufficient information in the changed wording of Mr. Gabriel. Therefore, I propose an amended condition to condition 37, which would be in the form as requested by the road group, which essentially is to add the words lot 19 and the public after Main Roads WA.
Okay, so that's amendment 4, and it's condition 37. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Syme moves. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bones. Mr. Syme,
I think I've said it all.
Okay, Councillor Bones is seconded. You wish to speak to the item? If not, anyone wish to speak against that?
I have already spoken against it.
You have spoken against it. Councillor Good, you wish to speak?
I'm fine.
Well, look, I'll speak against it because I think it's the condition as is written now doesn't involve a third party. It's between the applicant and the council and Main Roads. They've had long discussions about this. I can understand the submission from Road Group. I fully concur with the planning rationale behind that. But as Member Page is reluctant to introduce new conditions on a Form 2. I'm reluctant also to do the same, but on top of that, to introduce conditions that may be onerous and have no nexus with this particular application. In my mind, it still has some, the condition as drafted does have a nexus. If the applicants are aggrieved by that, they can choose to appeal that. But from my point of view, I think it does have a nexus, whereas the condition proposed on lot 19, whilst a good idea at this stage, I don't think we're able to impose that. So I'll speak against that. Okay, Mr. Syme, do you wish to speak further?
Yeah,
on?
look, I still think it's sufficient of a nexus for us to be able to apply it. I think that it doesn't necessarily involve a third party coming into the conversation. It involves the determination of the easement boundaries to take into account the future needs of lot 19 and the public in general. And I think that just adds a bit more information to the sorts of considerations which are for the future as this comes out in detail.
Thank you. Well, we'll now put Amendment 4 to the vote with the wording as proposed in the submission by Mr. H. Gabriel from the Row Group. All those in favour? Against? The amendment is lost. 4 to 1. Thank you. Are there any further discussions on the application and or amendments? I don't think I've spoken to the application. The application, as I said, is, as we've discussed, is relatively straightforward in terms of the proposed changes or access through lot 8, the regional open space reservations and bush forever, the access to that, bushfire issues, and access to the Canning River foreshore, and lot 5, the sewer connection. I think that that's a reasonable condition. And finally, on the access arrangements, the easement on lot 20, I think that's something that can be worked through with the current condition to the council to make a decision with Main Roads as to the extent of it. And once again, if the applicants are aggrieved by the extent of it and giving access to lot 19, for example, then they will have a right of appeal to that. So I'm supportive of the application with amendments 1 and 2, which were carried. So having done that, I'll now pass back to the mover, Councillor Good, to close debate on the item.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member. I'll probably go back to the actual item itself in terms of the conclusion presented by the staff. It is a proposed minor in nature, the amendments. We've gone through excessive debate of issues. It'll be a good development. Yes, there's a number of issues around it from the traffic management side, lot 19, lot 20. I understand all those, but we did the original approval well over 5 years ago. It'll be good to get this one approved, and hopefully you can get it constructed as soon as possible. Obviously, the key issue to me is always traffic flow, traffic management, and access to all the services that are required, particularly making sure the sewerage is on connection correctly and that the free flowing of traffic and business can go through. So I'm still extremely supportive of the proposal.
Thank you very much. That being the case, I'll put the item to a vote. All those in favour of the recommendations as amended? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on. to the item 5 on the agenda, SATREC considerations thereon. Sorry?
WAPC.
Yes.
4.1B.
Of course, I jumped the gun on that one. Sorry, WAPC. Okay, all right, well, that's carried. We now move on to part C, item 4.1B, which is the WA Planning. Sorry, Jazz.
Scafani will probably want to
I
present
jumped
some.
on that. Now, Mr. Scafani is here. I presume.
Yes, I'm still here, Mr. Presiding Member.
Okay, did you wish to speak on this item?
The deputation that we've lodged does note some potential modifications to the conditions of the WAPC approval, and I've spoken a little bit to that in my initial deputation, which was particularly in relation to proposed condition 7 and the amendments, and how we weren't supportive of that. If you'd like me to go back through that, I can, but otherwise I'm happy just to answer some questions.
Okay, we've had discussion. Does the panel require him to make the presentation any further, or do we just go straight to questions? Panel members, any questions of Mr. Scafani on his presentation? No? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. We're happy with that, Mark, at this stage. The staff at Department of Planning, do you have any comments to make on the submission made by Mr. Scafani from Element?
Thanks, Presiding Member. Yeah, I suppose we would uphold the condition 7 as we've written it. Our view is that, as sort of depicted on page 109, the principal shared path comes to a sort of an abrupt end, and the application is really focused on creating this new driveway access to lot 5, and that involves some retaining walls and some significant battering, which really brings that shared path to a bit of a dead end in that location. So the intent of the condition was to return that path to the Gosnells Road West intersection, so that the public had to access from Pitchford through.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Member Page.
Hi, Jazz. Just a few questions from me. So, just for clarity, who clears the WAPC conditions?
The WAPC.
You do. If there's no the city doesn't take that on. You deal with that directly. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, often we'll get advice from agencies who are involved in setting the conditions.
Okay. Back to condition 7 then. In your view, what is the link between the actual amendments to the design being proposed by the Form 2 and the amendments to condition 7? How do you draw that link between the extra requirements that you're asking for now and the actual amendments being proposed under the Form 2?
Yeah, and I think it's best visualised with the image on page 109 of the report, which sort of indicates how that driveway which is the key amendment to this development application proposed by Form 2.2, is that the current situation is that the PSP would end and there is an existing sort of sandy track which returns to Albany Highway. The amendment proposes this substantial driveway, which with battering and retaining walls, which effectively blocks that entrance. So that's the reason for requiring the amendment to condition 7 to return it to Albany Highway.
Thank you. So just to confirm, you're of the view that that amendment generates the need for this extra or the amended condition?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then what land does condition 30 apply to? Is it current lot 20 as suggested by the applicant?
The land that condition would apply to would comprise the land that is to be ceded to or transferred to the WAPC. So that stays within. Land that would be ceded to the City of Gosnells. So that would be the continuation of the shared path. It goes through that area that is annotated as ceded to the WAPC, but ultimately the PSP is intended to be ceded to the City of Gosnells.
Okay. And then you touched on it briefly before, but can you comment on the applicant's requested changes to conditions 22, 30, 31 and 33?
Yeah, look, let's go through each one. Amendments to condition 22, that's fine, that's a typographical error, and the renumbering of numbers, apologies for that. Those are both typographical and we agree. Amendments to conditions 30, the applicant submission doesn't specifically show where the condition is modified, but the condition 30 is intended to relate to the subject site as a whole, so that similarly to these discussions on the lot 20, the extent of the easement is not clear at this stage. So the idea is that the condition should read to the certificates of title in the of the subject site. So that is all of the titles of that of the subject site need to be come into play in considering where this easement goes, and the same applies to condition 31. But adding with 31 the applicant's changes to lot 8 should not, we do not agree with those. That should be stay as lot 5. So there's two components to that, if you'd like me to sort of further explain.
Sorry, I've just got a clarity here. You've got new condition 30.
Yep. So that needs some modification.
To be placed on a certificate of title of the amalgamated lot required by condition 30.
Yes, so that's typographical. Yep, that's typographical, and I apologise for that.
So what condition number should that be?
It should, instead of saying on the lot amalgamated, it should say on the subject site.
To be placed on the certificate of title of the subject site. Is that correct?
Yes. In the location of the proposed access arrangements to the Canning River foreshore.
Okay, we'll pick up on that. There's a bit required there.
And are you saying that same wording for 31 as well?
Yep, certificate of title of the subject site containing the proposed access arrangements for lot 5, not lot 8. So condition 30 is for access for WAPC to get down to the foreshore. Condition 31 is for lot 5 to get access to their dwelling. So it must stay as lot 5.
Okay. And amended condition 7. This is of the original approval. So Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Any further questions from the panel of Mr. Lipinski? No. No panel members. Okay. Or Mr. Scuffone? No further questions.
Oh, there's one other condition. I'm sorry. Through the voting member, the condition 33 we didn't touch on. It's the date.
Yes.
Yeah, 15th of April. We agree with that.
Okay, so you concur with that, all right. Okay, thank you. Well, so that we can debate this item under 4.1b, do I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Good moves. Seconder, Councillor Baines. Councillor Good, please.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member. Supportive of the development. I'm always not as happy as I'd like to be when the reduction in size and retail floor space, and I get that. I get the reasons why. But I still think, as I spoke previous item, that this is something to be supported, and the amendments do appear to be minor in nature, but still meet the planning framework. So I'm supportive. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Baines?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Thank you. Panel members used to speak to the recommendation from the WA Planning Commission. Mr. Syme.
Yes, thank you. Straightforward. I think I'll just move an amendment to condition 33 to change to put the date as 15th of April 2028.
Okay, so that's moved by Mr. Syme as amendment 1. Okay, seconder. Yes, Councillor, Member Page, thank you. Do you wish to speak further on that, Mr. Syme? No. Member Page, no. Any other debate on that amendment? If not, I'll put the amendment number 1. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Syme, any further discussion?
I think that there was one other one on condition 30 to replace the words amalgamated lot required by condition 30 with the subject site. I think that's as it should be.
Can I have the exact wording on that? Did you get that? Proposed amendment 30, new condition 30. There was some rewording on that. Mr. Lipinski, you had that wording.
Yeah, that's correct. It's the subject site, as said. It's just taking out the amalgamated lot and replacing it with the subject site.
So to be clear, easements in accordance with section 195, 196 Land Administration Act for the benefit of the WA Planning Commission are to be placed on the certificate of title of the subject site required by condition.
Not with removing required by condition.
Of the subject site to the satisfaction of the WAPC, etc., etc.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. That's clear. You've moved that.
I'll move
Seconder.
Yep.
Page. Clear from the councillors on the panel. Are you okay? All right. Well, I'll put that amendment 3. All in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Any further debate on the item? Not for me. Discussion? No, on the substantive recommendation. You wish to speak?
Yes,
Yes.
please. Yeah, look, again, happy to support the Form 2 amendments as per the previous item. But I think we needed to amend condition 22 to reference condition 7 and not condition 2.
Okay, so amendment 4 moved by Member Page. Seconder, Mr. Syme, to change the wording through condition number 2 in amended condition 22 and replace that with condition number 7. Okay. Any further debate on the item? If not, I'll put amendment number 4. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Any further discussion from you?
No, thank you.
Okay, I will just support the recommendation from the WA Planning Commission Responsible Authority Report as amended. So I will now go back to closed debate on item 4.1b. Councillor Good, do you wish to say any further?
No, other than the fact of I'm very supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, I'll put item 4.1b amended recommendations. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, just a moment. I will thank Councillors Good and Councillor Baines for their discussion. Item 5, there was no set reconsiderations. And thank you for the presenters and council staff. Thank you. And now we can move on to part D, City of Mandurah.
Morning.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Presiding Member.
I'll just wait for the City of Mandurah councillors to appear. Mr. Sherkor, Mr. Hidding.
Presiding Member, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Rogers, can you hear us on your end there? City of Mandurah online.
Looks like we've lost them. Yes.
Just for the benefit of everyone online, we're just trying to get the City of Mandurah online and having some issues on their end. So we'll be recommencing Mandurah in a moment.
Your reason was to try and use that stuff, then it drops out.
You're not having much luck, are you?
Oh, no, I mean, it just locked out for some reason. Go through all that again, do I? Oh, what did that?
See you.
Oh, it's like.
Mr. Shirko, we can hear you and see you.
Yeah, I just dropped out for a minute.
That's all right.
Man, I would just need you to unmute if you can.
You guys have had a long day. That'd be good, yeah, because
It hasn't finished yet. Okay.
Mayor Knight, can you hear us okay?
Caroline, can you hear us? Obviously not.
Okay.
Caroline, we can hear you now. Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Sorry, we don't know what's happened.
Well, you just went upside down then, but you're okay now. But that's perfect. We can see you now, and we can hear you.
Okay, I think Councillor Rogers has also been dropped out. We were a little frustrated because we had sat through the previous 2 hours, and then right at the critical moment we lost.
Yep. Well, you got the good part, so that's okay. All right. How are we going for others? We lost Mr. Heading, have we?
No, he's still there.
Still there.
Still here, presiding member.
Thank you. Okay. Can I, at this stage, confirm that all panel members have duly considered all of the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information by raising your hand? But we don't have Councillor Rogers, do we?
Councillor Rogers is attempting, he also got cut out as well, so he's attempting to rejoin.
I think the secretary's giving him a call.
Okay. Well, I think we can move along. If he does come, if he can't get in, well, if not, if he does get in, I'll have to ask him to declare due consideration as well. Item 2 on this.
Sorry, Jane, he's just coming now if you wanted to.
Okay, well, if I see him.
Yep.
Along. Oh, Councillor Rogers, welcome. Well, Part B of this agenda is City of Mandurah. We've now been joined by Caroline Knight, Councillor Peter Rogers. Councillor Rogers, can I confirm that you've duly considered all of the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information?
I have, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda is declaration of interest. Any panel member wish to declare an interest in the item at all? If not, okay. Councillors, was this item considered at a council meeting or briefing session?
No, it was not.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, we do have on item 3 of this part of the agenda, an application for proposed bulky goods showroom at lot 502 Pinjarra Road, Greenfields. We have a presentation on Mr. Nick Hidding from Hidding Urban Planning. As Mr. Hidding, I remind you, you have 3 minutes to make your presentation, which we've all had to before us to consider, but please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member, and good afternoon, panel members and City Mandurah staff. Hidding Urban Planning represents the owner of 400 Pinjarra Road in Greenfields in the matter of a proposed bulky goods showroom development. We've been working closely with the City of Mandurah to progress this project. I've undertaken pre-lodgement consultation. We've gone through the design review panel process, and we've also liaised with the adjacent landowner to produce a connected showroom precinct across the two properties. There's a recommendation for approval in front of you today, which we support. However, as set out in my submission, we've got a few comments to make about a couple of conditions which we ask the panel to consider and amend. And those conditions are condition 2A, which deals with a setback to the back of house portion of building 1, which is close to the intersection of Lakes Road and Mandurah Road. The condition is currently worded to require a setback of 6 metres. Prior to the report being submitted to the DAP, we liaised with the city about this condition, and we submitted an amended plan that references a 3.2 metre setback, which is an increase on the submitted plan that we had progressed. I attached that plan to my submission. We spoke to the city about this support for that change. So therefore, we'd ask the panel to adjust condition 2A to reference the 3.26 metre setback in lieu of the 6. This provides a greater setback to Lakes Road, as was the intention, provides additional landscaping and a reduction in the building bulk as viewed from that street. The other one is condition 2B, which deals with the motor vehicle repair tenancy for Bridgestone. We object to that condition being imposed. Bridgestone is a committed tenant to the overall project. It's a very small tenancy compared to the overall development. It's a 400 square metre tenancy representing 3.66% of the overall development floor space. We believe that the motor vehicle repair tenancy is entirely appropriate in the context of this showroom development precinct. It's quite normal to see businesses like this in these precincts, and we believe it's appropriate to fit in with the overall development across the two properties. The part of the structure plan which prohibits the use, it's just a notation issue on the structure plan. The structure plan is obviously not a binding document. The panel's to have due regard to the provisions of the structure plan, but it's not, of course, bound by it completely. This means that the panel has the power to approve our tenancy for the motor vehicle repair. This structure plan is in its last days. I think it's over 10 years old now, and it's due to be replaced. And that to us means that this structure plan provision should be given reduced weight in the consideration of this matter. The Bridgestone use is not a full-on motor vehicle repair business, but it's a retail shop front for the selling of tyres and a rear part to undertake the fitment of those tyres. So it's not undertaking the full extent of vehicle repairs that would otherwise be applicable for a normal auto repair business. So we believe that that is probably beneficial in the DAP's consideration of this particular issue. We believe in the circumstances that it's an appropriate use in the overall context, and we'd seek the panel to delete condition 2B. Condition 2D relates to a requirement to include additional windows. As set out in my submission, we provided additional windows on a whole range of elevations in response to the DRP comments, and I've captured that in my submission where we've done that. So we're not clear on what the city's requesting in condition 2D. We'd ask for clarification, but we believe we've done what was asked of us, and we'd seek the deletion of condition 2D. And just lastly, condition 14 and 15, they appear to conflict with each other. It talks to heavy tinting and signage on shopfront windows. Condition 14 limits it to 25% of total glass area, but condition 15 appears to restrict it completely. We'd seek for condition 15 to drop away in favour of condition 14, which allows some signage and tinting on windows, and we'd expect that due to the nature of the businesses, some tenants will add some signage and information on the glass shop fronts of their tenancies. So we'd seek for condition 15 to fall away. Other than that, very happy with the project in general and the recommendation for approval, and we'd seek the panel's approval of the project today. Happy to answer any questions. Steve Sherkle is also on the line to answer any questions of a design nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heading. Panel members, any questions of the presenter? Councillor Knight, Councillor Rogers.
No, I have questions that I'd like to put to the officers, please.
Okay, thank you. Any other panel members wish to speak? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hidding. We'll now go to council officers for comment on the submission and some of the assertions.
Oh, sorry. I do have one question for Mr. Hidding. That dimension, can you just confirm it's 3.26 metres that you're seeking?
Yes, it is 3.26. I know there's a typo in my submission, but it is 3.26. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Now we go to questions. Aaron, is it?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, could you just make some comments on what was presented to us? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we did. I echo Mr. Hidding's commentary about we've had a lot of interaction and collaboration with him and the owners and Mr. Shirkaw over the journey. Unfortunately, I was away for a fair part of that, and Tom isn't with us today to help back that up a bit. But I do know that there were some changes made, acknowledging specifically the change to the corner setback where the design review panel suggested and the city echoed the reduction in that setback to 6 metres, acknowledging that there has been a fairly significant change taken in the small triangular section of that building represents a minor encroachment, albeit an encroachment nonetheless, but it is acknowledged that there is enough space there potentially to make some good screening through landscaping and stuff like that. In terms of the comments regarding land use, the previous structure plan which prevented a motor vehicle repair, I think the intent behind that was to ensure that the future development in this area didn't consist of car yards and things like that. I think that was the major intent behind that. And also do acknowledge the age of the precinct plan, albeit that we're going to be replacing it with a health precinct structure plan which applies to the broader area up to the hospital. So it potentially would be an element which was carried through to that health precinct structure plan, however hasn't run the test of time or gone through the consultation process yet. So it could be presumptuous for me to suggest that we're going to definitely include that as a prohibited land use. And I do also acknowledge that specifically motor vehicle repair as a land use is probably a little bit broader than what a Bridgestone tyre service amounts to. So acknowledging it's a small tenancy and acknowledging it's in the centre of the site. The panel will have to make that decision, of course, but I do acknowledge Mr. Hidding's comments around that. And I do acknowledge that Mr. Hidding and Mr. Shirkaw have addressed some of the concerns that were raised through the DRP in providing a bit of some more windows, even though they might be covered, and the colour back windows, they probably do provide some articulation and some perception of passive surveillance. And I must say that I do probably agree that Condition 15 does contradict Condition 14 to some extent. We would like to see, fairly limited covering of windows and things like that, obviously, but do recognise that I don't think the city would object to that condition being removed.
Okay, that's Condition 15.
Correct.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other questions of council staff? Councillor Knight, you foreshadowed a question.
Just a question in relation to the back of the house. If we could discuss that a little bit more. The back of the house actually facing what is a very prominent section and on an entry road into the city.
So thank you. Through the chair, it is it's quite apparent that the design focus on this particular development focuses away from the road and actually internalises its frontage, and that was quite deliberate to coordinate and integrate with the existing neighbouring, well, it's not existing, it's been approved though, neighbouring bulky goods showroom precinct. And I think they've done a very good job of integrating the two developments, in my opinion. But that does come at a cost, and the cost is that it does turn its back on what is quite a prominent intersection to the city of Mandurah from the east, and also provides access to Lakes Road, which is going to only increase in volume. So that is where the concern, the city and from the DRP generated. So we would be liking to see the very best outcome. It's making the best of what is a bad situation, for want of a better term. The design is very strong internally, but quite weak externally. But the back of the house does have to go somewhere, and that's recognised.
Thank you. Any other questions of the presenters or council staff, panel members? Yes, Member Page.
Just a couple. Just going back to the motor vehicle repairs issue, given it is a small tenancy which will restrict actual future use and impact, and setting aside the issue of the structure plan, what would your other concerns, if any, be about locating a tenancy, a use like that on this site?
I guess it would be hard for me to suggest that I have any strong concerns myself personally, but I do know that the city's preference was not to be there. But the tenant, that if we were going to approve it, the fact that it is small, internal, and is limited, like it wouldn't be completely inappropriate if the land use table was extended to have peripheral vehicle maintenance businesses included as a different land use, because we probably wouldn't like a full-scale automotive workshop or a car yard here, but this is effectively a fairly clean and tidy business, being tyres and probably rhubars and things like that. That's all they really fit. So yeah, in terms of my personal view, I can see merit in it. I just know that the city's intent was potentially to prohibit it in the next version of the structure plan.
Okay, thank you. And then condition 13 requires that external lighting should comply with the relevant Australian standards. And I understand that those Australian standards do allow for some performance-based solutions within them. So should we add some wording that compliance with the standards needs to be to your satisfaction? I know that might be implied, but it's not specific.
Yeah, I think that's probably wise, because if there's a solution base, we can maybe have that interpretation tested. That's fine. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's it from me.
Thank you. Any other panel members wish to speak to the council staff or presenters? If not, then we'll move on to the next stage of our deliberation on this bulky goods showroom development. In order to do so, may I have a mover and seconder for the mover? Councillor Knight, Mayor Knight. Seconder? Member Page, thank you. Yes, Mayor Knight.
Thank you. Look, I'm happy to move the recommendation that we have before us for this multi-goods showroom. I am mindful of the conditions that the city has requested at 2A in particular. This is a very prominent site, and while I appreciate that there has been some addressing of the proximity of the building, it still does not pass the test. It still fails to meet the minimum 6 metres, and I think because of its high visual prominence and the fact that it will be very visually obvious, and we are permitting a development which is inward facing. I think that the outward facing is going to have a lot of scrutiny, and I feel that the minimum standard needs to be maintained in this particular instance. But apart from that, happy with the recommendation.
Thank you. Member Page is second. He used to speak to the item.
Yes, thank you. I will support the recommendation for approval, but I will seek to move a few amendments before I speak to the substantive motion, please.
Thank you. Amendment number 1.
First one, amend condition 2A relating to setbacks to replace the number 6 with the number 3.26. And I will give my reason if I have a second.
Okay, seconder for that, Mr. Syme. Thank you.
Thank you. Look, I do note the comments made by and acknowledge the comments made by Mayor Knight, but I have a very similar development in an area that I used to work in and where I frequent the site. And it had a similar issue when that application was dealt with. I think pushing back the building, which will impact its functionality, that extra little bit is not really going to impact. It's only a little bit. It's not really going to impact the visual impact on that corner. So to me, if I'm looking at setting it back 3.26 or 6, the visual impact is not going to be that significantly different, but the functionality will. So I suggest that we allow the reduced setback. There will be landscaping involved. The city officers have been liaising with the applicant. I'm very happy to amend that condition on that basis.
Thank you. Mr. Syme, seconder.
Yes, look, I agree with those sentiments and those reasons. I think this is, I mean, bulky goods showrooms in whatever location are not planners' favourites. They're very difficult to put into a nice streetscape, and this is a pretty good example of where it is as it is, and I think we need to accept that and not lament it. And in that regard, I can't see much benefit in compromising the functionality of the building for what would in effect not be any great improvement in what the Pinjarra Road streetscape would be. I think we've got to rely on landscaping, and we've got to rely on wall treatments and so on for that. And so I think this is an amendment which we can support.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to the proposed amendment?
I'd like to speak against the proposed amendment.
Fine. Please go ahead.
Well, I think I probably already have in my open speech, but yes, I am speaking against it. I do think that there are ways of modifying that corner there, so it is compliant. So I won't be supporting it. However, if it should pass, it does mean that landscaping becomes particularly important in this area.
Thank you. Anyone else please speak to the item? If not, as mover, Member Page, you wish to say any further? Okay, I'll put amendment number 1 to the vote. All those in favour? Against? It's carried 3-2. Thank you.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Then I would seek to delete condition 2B, which requires replacement of the motor vehicle repairs tenancy with a bulky goods showroom tenancy.
Okay. Member Page, seconder. Mr. Syme. Member Page, you wish to speak to it?
Yes, please. Look, the current structure plan is due for review. The city has outlined they can't guarantee where the land use permissibility for something like this will ultimately land. But given the use is ordinarily capable of approval in the service commercial zone, and given the structure plan is a due regard document only, and given there are really no other, given the size of the tenancy, I really don't see that there could be other concerns or amenity impacts associated with the use. The city officers echoed my thoughts when I was reading this report that given the nature of the tenancy, because my initial thought was once you give a land use allocation to a site, it's there and it can be replaced without a change of use. But given the size of the tenancy, it's probably never going to be able to be used for anything more substantial than a car parts type showroom, which actually then makes it more of a showroom than a motor vehicle repairs tenancy anyway. And again, these are the types of uses that are of benefit to the community. So whether it is motor vehicle spare parts or tyres or whatever, these kind of precincts are exactly where those kind of uses should be. So I'm pretty comfortable that there will be no ongoing negative impact with a tenancy of this size for a motor vehicle repair. So I suggest we delete that condition, which requires replacement of it.
Thank you. Mr. Syme.
Yes, look, I echo those sentiments and those reasons. It's been clear to me since I first looked at this that the actual use of a tyre retailer and fitting place is really not what doesn't create any amenity concerns that an old-fashioned motor vehicle repair service might. They're pretty benign activities and fairly low volume, and it is quite a small tenancy and it's in the middle of the site, so I don't think there's any really amenity concerns for this, and I think it's something that we can approve.
Thank you. Any other panel member wish to speak for or against the proposed amendment? No? Okay, well, I'll just concur with the sentiments of my fellow panel members as to the appropriateness of this motor vehicle repair use. Going back to the mover.
Nothing further on this
Nothing
amendment.
further. All right, I'll put amendment 2 to delete condition 2B. All in favour? Against? It's carried 3-2. Thank you.
Thank you, presiding member. Then I'd seek to delete condition 2D, requiring incorporation of window openings, given that those have already been included in the amendment.
Okay, thank you. So that's amendment 3. Delete condition 2D. Member Page, seconder. Member Syme.
Not much to say other than given the required action has already been undertaken, I don't see any need of including this condition.
Okay, so delete condition 2D. Thank you. Mr. Syme.
Yes, this action has been done, so it doesn't belong in a set of conditions at this stage.
Okay, thank you. Any other member wish to speak for or against the proposed amendment? If not, I will just concur with the proposed deletion of condition 2D for reasons given by fellow panel members. Member Page, you wish to close debate? All right. I'll put amendment 3 to delete condition 2D. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, presiding member. Then I'd like to amend condition 13 to add the words "to the satisfaction of the City of Mandurah" at the end of the condition.
Okay. Seconder, Mr. Syme.
Thank you. Look, this really ensures, given that this Australian standard does allow for performance-based or performance solutions, and therefore adherence to the standard is open to interpretation. This ensures that any installation, future replacement and ongoing use of the lighting does meet the requirements of the relevant Australian standard to the satisfaction of the city. The additional wording will just remove the potential for any disagreement or differences in agreement about whether the standard is being met or not.
Thank you. So you should speak to that.
No, it's straightforward, I think.
Okay, thank you. Any other speaker on that amendment? If not, I'll put the amendment number 4 to delete condition, or to add the words to the section satisfaction of the city. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. And then lastly, presiding member, seek to delete condition 15 relating to obscuring of windows for the reasons provided by the applicant and as discussed with the city staff.
Thank you. Seconder? I'll second that.
Thank you. Look, the condition is somewhat at odds with the intent of condition 14. I think condition 14 already adequately deals with the issue of tinting and obscuring the glazing, so I think it's best we remove 15 just to eliminate any confusion when we're clearing these conditions.
Okay, I don't wish to add anything further to that. Any other debate on the item or discussion? If not, I'll put amendment 5 to delete condition 15. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverting to the substantive motion, I don't have much to say other than it largely meets the provisions of the planning scheme, and the areas where discretion is being sought have been well justified in the city's report. The proposal was largely supported by the design review panel, and there was acknowledgement of the complexity of this type of land use, strictly meeting all requirements. So that's good. And the remaining issues for consideration that were raised by the design review panel have either been responded to in the RA or included as conditions of approval. So very happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, presiding member, is it too late for me to suggest an addition to condition 7?
I don't think so. You haven't spoken to the item, so you're entitled to raise an amendment later. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Seconder. You've spoken in the page. Anyone else wish to speak? It's been a long agenda. It was moved, Councillor Mayor Knight. So,
You're the seconder. Yeah.
sorry, you get the right of reply, so you can at the end, so you can introduce it then. Following debate and discussion on the item. All right. Anyone else wish to speak to the item? Yes, Member Simon.
Look, very briefly, these are tricky land uses. I think from a functional point of view, it's been very nicely organised, and I think that's a good thing. I think aesthetically, these are always difficult. It sort of is what it is, as it were. These are a fact of planning life and a fact of urban life, and as a land use in this location, and as an integration into what will be a very large bulky goods precinct. It's an interesting proposition, but I think it meets all the planning framework satisfactorily. I think that we've looked at the conditions as we can reasonably and can be approved.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rogers used to speak to the item, if not.
No, nothing from me. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll just say I support the proposal, and I think that it's been assessed through the design review panel. There have been some changes made. I echo the sentiments of the trickiness of these sorts of proposals and their impact on the major road. And I'm reminded of the fact that my father-in-law owned an old building right in the centre of Mandurah back in the 1970s, and he wanted to put a car yard on it. The council said, no way, we don't want Pinjarra Road to end up like Albany Highway. Well, look at us now. Anyway, I'll be supporting the application, so there we are. Mayor Knight, as mover, you have the right of reply.
Thank you. Look, we've had a fairly good discussion. There was one small addition that I would like to put forward for the panel's consideration in light of the removal of 2A. I was wondering whether the panel would consider on point 7 the addition of with particular, this is under the landscaping, with particular focus on the corner of Lakes and Pinjarra Road, given the setback is now, is it 3 point, Is it 2.2 metres?
3.2.
So it would be additional words on those dot points under condition 7 that says with particular focus on the corner of Lakes and Pinjarra Road.
Following a particular focus on the corner of Pinjarra
and Lakes Road.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Yes, Member Page. I think you've explained the reason behind that, Mayor Knight. Okay, thank you. No further debate on it. Okay, so it's Amendment 6, the additional dot point in condition 7. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you. All right, well, given that we've now discussed it all, I'm now putting to the vote the approval as per amended with 5 amendments. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. And just getting back to the agenda on this. Thank you. All right, item 4 on the agenda, Form 2 DAB application Zerona. Item 5, SAT reconsiderations, there are none. Getting back to Part E, other business. No, or the SAT applications are on the agenda. And meeting closure. Prior to that, I'll thank members for their participation, presenters for their presentations, and council staff for their attendance, and our hard-working staff in the department. And I'll close the meeting at 12:42 p.m. Thank you very much, and thank you for your...
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.